Hello, my friends. Welcome back to coverage of the Gaming Stadium Standard 2022 1K Tournament. Wow, that is a mouthful. My name is Ayu, and I'm here with my good friend and local Vancouver, BC PTQ and boss Mani Davudi.
And Gaming Stadium in charge of naming things, manager Mani Davudi. Who comes
Are you
up
serious?
with those mouthfuls?
This is your problem. This is your fault. We're gonna have words afterwards. All right. If you just joined us, welcome. Apologies for the consistent series of mental breakdowns that you're witnessing on stream from your happens in front of casters. We're about to go into the top four. Our semi-finalists are just lining themselves up, and we have got a treat for all of you out here today. Our first semi-final is going to be the Scrubbly with Dragon Ball Z up against QBEK with mono black control. And you know, the QBEK in our Swiss portion today, this is the only matchup that they lost to, I believe.
Yep, that is accurate, and this has been the deck that I have been the most hyped about time and time again. I've seen it on stream, and it's looked so exciting. This was the one match that I actually didn't get to watch the first time, so I'm really hoping that this rematch delivers, as these two decks have been so fun to watch all day.
Well, looking at the openers here, QBEK getting off to a dream start. Hunt for Specimens, get in Necrotic Fumes. That's going to answer the first threat. Soul Shatter as well, ready to answer another threat. The Scrubbly also working with a lot of gas. Expressive Iteration finds a land. Second Expressive Iteration, Dragon's Fire. Dragon, Prismari commands, card draw. Everything you could possibly want.
Yeah, and that was a crucial fourth land that they just drew there, as that sort of unlocks everything and doesn't force them to have to play this expressive iteration in hand. Instead, they get to just pass and be the control player that they were born to be, essentially.
They were dreamed of being.
Yeah. Be the control player of your dreams.
So here comes Loth. She's going to hit the battlefield, immediately make two 2/1 spiders with Menace and Reach. Now, Loth going down to 1 is pretty key if we look at what's going on in Scrubbly's hand.
Yeah, I think Loth is going down to none in short order there. There's a copy of Draconic Intervention as well there for the Scrubbly, but they do just have these Prismari commands. It's pretty tempting to take down Loth, create a treasure, untap, drop a Yimrith, or just play Draconic Intervention. Everything is going pretty well for them so far in this first game.
Oh, this is so sweet. I'm so excited to see what happens in this battle of the two most dominant decks that we've seen in the tournament today, just duking it out here in the semifinals. Attacking 4/5 with these little critters.
And just letting it through for Scrubbly, noting that they would rather play this Behold the Multiverse on their end step, or at least not go for this Behold the Multiverse, or try to answer something else that QBEK develops. So not wanting to essentially waste a removal spell on these creatures that they're planning on wiping up with Draconic Intervention regardless.
So the Scrubbly gonna remain patient, keep holding back, just gonna try and get some of these threats down first. Galazeth Prismari is dispatched by that Hagra Mauling. Still Necrotic Fumes that the Scrubbly knows about, and a Soul Shatter that the Scrubbly doesn't know about in hand. But look at this. This is going to be an attack for more than 2/3 of Scrubbly's life total should it get through.
This Faceless Haven was the one that Scrubbly was hoping to get with this Dragon's Fire. This is the reason they've held on to it for so long. They understood that if they used that Dragon's Fire on any other target, then they wouldn't have had a clean answer to that Faceless Haven. Now that that's gone, they can start developing some of their other threats and have some of their other answers if they want.
Is it time? Is it time for the intervention?
It feels like it's time for the intervention, and notably, like we said, they don't have another 3 damage spell, so the board is gone, but that Hive of the Eye Tyrant, there's no answer for it.
I'm just imagining QBEK walking into a room and there's just a big banner saying Draconic Intervention. It's like, QBEK, stop playing non-dragon creatures. Look at this! Blood on the Snow for killing 0 creatures just to reanimate Loth. I love this deck so much. Love it so much.
Just when we think that QBEK can't pull a line that like will continue impressing us, they just pull this one out, and it's such a cool recognition that they have targeted removal in their hand. They're ready to deal with this Inferno of the Sarmouse. They're ready to deal with this Imrith. What they're not ready for is just passing and allowing Scrubbly to do whatever they want with the mountain of cards in their hand. So instead, they get to go on the offensive here.
So Scrubbly drops that adult Gold Dragon. It is going to trade with the 2 spiders, but doing a very key job of buffering Scrubbly's life total. And this is what we have seen QBEK do all day, just Loth after Loth off the top. And Mani, I would like some recognition for the restraint I've showed and not making any lol jokes.
Yep, I'm very proud of you for doing the bare minimum. Just really, really impressed. I think this is what we've seen in the past from decks. They don't really want to run 4 copies of 5-mana Planeswalkers because it's a lot. But like we've seen with Teferi, Hero of Dominaria in the past, if your Planeswalker is such a magnet for removal that your opponent has to answer it every time it's on the battlefield, well then you can afford to run 4 because you want to chain them as often as possible. And yes, I did just compare Loth to Teferi.
We're gonna let that slide for now. The Scrubbly did find another haste threat. Found Adult Gold Dragon.
I think we're gonna see some blocks on these.
Just thinking about getting in with those 1/1s. Now, is there a reason not to play out the haste threat this turn? That Loth off the battlefield?
I don't really know, because I am a little worried now for the position the Scrubbly has put themselves in. Yes, they get to foretell that saw it coming, but for QBEK, this is a perfectly fine position. They have the Soul Shatter that gets around Ward. They get to make more spiders with Loth if they want to, and they just have everything they need in the spot.
Oh my goodness. They can also play the Shambling Ghast, sacrifice the Shambling Ghast to the Deadly Dispute. That is going to put a counter on Loth, and they can make the 2/1s again without minusing 3 off her 3 loyalty and killing her.
That's just fantastic. I have been unable to stop raving about this deck, and it's for good reason. Each time it just keeps doing these cool lines of play. All of the pieces just sort of line up in front of you as you see it happen. Do you really want to attack with that Adult Gold Dragon? Do you not want to attack with that Adult Gold Dragon? There's no good answer here.
There's no good answer. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. And, we see the Scrubbly sitting back on that Saw It Coming in Foretell, knowing about, of course, the necrotic fumes that QBEK got out of the sideboard, but there's just so much going on. There's an Eye Twitch that can get Mascot Exhibition. There's Hagra Mauling. That can be the second removal spell after the Sword Coming takes care of this. It's just so much going on.
And the best part is, in QBEK's current position, they don't have to attack with these spiders. They can just afford to pass the turn back or just play Eye Twitch plus Call Formation. And what does Scrubbly do against this? Are they going to play Goldspan Dragon? Well, we'll double block the Goldspan Dragon, Hagra Mauling the Adult Gold Dragon, and we've got Loth back on 3.
This is just incredible.
And Hayu, if Loth is back on 3 next turn, Eye Twitch comes down, Merchant comes down, sack the Eye Twitch, 4th counter, do it all over again.
stop.
It doesn't stop. That's the whole
It doesn't
point.
stop.
This mono
keeps
black
going.
control deck doesn't stop. Every time you think Lolth is done, it's such an impressive planeswalker.
Oh, this is so sweet. I really hope that this deck becomes a real force in the next year, because the play patterns are just so cool and so interesting, and you can do, you can really vary it up in so many different ways. And it's been a little while since we've seen a deck that's versatile in a non-linear fashion, should we say.
It's just been an absolute blast to watch, and I think there's a good reason why we're seeing QBEK here in the top 4 of this tournament. And it has to be said, coming into this event, I think it was fair to say a lot of people expected mono green aggro fueled by the power of Rager class to be the top deck in this event. That is evident as the other side of our semifinal bracket. Well, that's a mono green mirror. That's what is going to be weighting the winner of this match. And regardless of who comes out ahead between these more or less rogue decks here, whoever comes out ahead, they're going to need to prove it against mono green.
Love this, like, only needs to throw 1 in front to chump, right? Inferno does not have trample, but the QBEK's like, no, you go and die. We need more loyalty on LoL. Here comes Mascot Exhibition, and here's that play you were talking about. Merchant, sacrifice one of these creatures, get rid of the one on the ground, we don't care about that one. Make the spiders again. Just, what is the Scrubbly gonna do? Riverglide Pathway is not it. That is not it.
Inferno the Star Mounts is looking to get to 20 power.
Oh my
I
goodness.
count 10.
That's another copy
I also count another Mascot Exhibition.
Mascot Exhibition. This is ridiculous.
This is really gross. This is
this
needs a not safe for work warning. This is not okay.
Oh my goodness.
I can't believe we're actually allowed to show this on Twitch. This has to be against the terms of service. This is a massacre.
Hello! That's right! It's small creatures, Den of the Bugbear, that ain't it.
The Scrubbly needs to find their second Draconic Intervention. They play 2 copies in the main deck, and that's about all they can find here. That's the third Mascot Exhibition. At this point, QBEK is just showing off if they just play the third one out.
We'll just get it.
Hello. I think it's time to attack. Oh, okay. All right. Let's step back for a moment.
It's showtime.
I really hope that a Draconic Intervention punishment is not waiting here for QBEK.
You secretly hope that there's a Draconic Intervention punishment waiting.
I absolutely do not. What I secretly hope for is the dominance of Lolth Spider Queen as side coming. They're already seeing the end of this game coming, and we're going to be going to a second game with QBEK up 1.
Wow. This is incredible.
That was incredible.
Just slam with the team. Yeah. Don't even bother with the face.
Come on and jam.
Don't even bother with it. Just go. And that cave is, that's a tapped Cave of the Frost Dragon. And that is going to be GG's. QBEK with mono black control getting a foot forward here in our semifinal.
Yeah, that was just a blast of a game to watch. We saw both decks kind of try to do their things, but the mono black control deck really showing that when they get to do their thing, they get to do a lot of things.
Do all the things.
Now, I do want to point something out. There are 2 copies of Turgid, God of Fright, in the sideboard of this mono black control deck. I have yet to figure out what matchup they're for. I haven't seen them come in yet, but the moment they do come in, I will be extremely excited.
I mean, if not for this matchup, then for what? You know, if it's not for the 4 and 5 mana dragons deck, what is it for?
I sincerely do not believe that it is for the deck that is packing many copies of Prismari Command. I don't think we're trying to play the Lantern here, and I don't know if Turgid
you're
herself
talking
does
about
that.
Turgid herself. I thought you were talking about Turgid's shadow.
No,
is that what it's called? The sack 2 creatures? I was like, yeah, let's go.
I really wish
creatures.
I was talking about Turgid's Shadow. Unfortunately not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that's for either, but that Turgid is pretty sweet.
Another throwback to the old mono black control decks. A little bit of barter and blood there. It would have been a nice little throwback and just giving the people what they want. But instead, we're going to see game 2 here. And I'm so excited.
All right, let's have a look at what we have in hand. The Scrubbly is going to send that first one back immediately. Did not have nearly good enough mana. I'm going to keep the 6 though as we look at QBEK's hand. Wow, look at this. Twitch Hunt 3-drop removal spell.
And now a Deadly Dispute. Just perfection.
Jeez. Here comes the Dragon Ball.
That's the start, and this is going to be really interesting to see if Scrubbly finds a non-basic land. Would they play it over this mountain to cast this Galazeth Prismari and then get punished by a 3-mana Hagaballing? Because that would be
I've seen more 3-mana Hagramallings today than I've seen in the entire time. Yeah, ever. All right, it is going to be mountain into Galazeth Prismari, make a treasure, and that's a nice to play on turn number 3 for the Scrubbly.
It is definitely a nice play. I think QBEK will feel the pressure to just Hagrammalling this Galazeth Prismari down. You don't want to let the opponent use those treasures for permanent mana and get more than one out of them. You see the Scrubbly has mulliganed this game, so you want to put a bit of pressure on their resources. Fortunately for Scrubbly, they still have a lot going for them. They have this Orb of Dragonkind, or the Dragon Ball as you like to call it, so they have that refill available for them, and a second one now. So this is looking a lot rougher here for QBEK than the last game was.
Nighthawk Scavenger, though, is going to come down.
A very short-lived existence the Scavenger is going to have on this battlefield.
Well, it does seem that way. That Dragon's Fire ready and waiting to dispatch of it. There is an Ebon Death in hand for QBEK, as well as a Lulth, but both of those very liable to be disdainfully stroked.
Opting not to attack actually with the Nighthawk Scavenger, instead hoping to leave it back potentially for maybe a dragon from the other side, but as things stand, a bit of maximum punishment there.
Yeah, did leave the Nighthawk Scavenger back. Here's the second Lulth. That's going to be met with a second disdainful stroke, and you have to give it up to QBEK's ability to draw Planeswalkers off the top. It's just been a masterclass in finding the Lulths, the Professor Onyxes.
I feel like you've basically guaranteed a Professor Onyx on the top of QBEK's deck with saying that statement now. Or they never draw a Planeswalker again, one of the two. It feels like it's time for Den of the Bugbear to become a creature.
Alright, okay, well, this is a nice attack. Get in with the Den of the Bugbear, down to 14, make a 1/1 token left behind as well. Now those orbs, they don't tap for... They only tap for dragons, right?
They only tap for dragons. They do also sack for dragons. So at some point, if the Scrubbly is really looking for a gold span, they could just go ahead and sacrifice an orb. But as things stand, I think they are more interested in casting these Behold the Multiverses and Swallow Cummings and just leave up answers as much as they can.
iTwitch is going to jump in front of one of those birds. Of course, I'm going to head to the sideboard, and it's close to showtime. The Mascot Exhibition was the take, but no 7th land just yet for QBEK.
The exhibition will need to wait a little bit longer. But fortunately for QBEK, they do still have another Eye Twitch, another Hunt for Specimens. I would guess that they're going to use this Hunt for Specimens to actually go and get an Environmental Sciences, just because they want to guarantee that 7th land for next turn. They don't need a second Mascot Exhibition here, as they do have that Eye Twitch that would get one when it dies. So a bit of greed here in their position, as they could have guaranteed a Mascot Exhibition next turn. And now if they miss a land, they are going to be in a lot of trouble, but from the position they've put themselves in.
Talking of powerful, awesome lessons, check out LaSalle College Vancouver, which teaches a bunch of really awesome ones, especially in game design, because they are the #1 game design school in Canada according to the Princeton Review, and you can learn about all aspects of the game design process at LaSalle College Vancouver. Goldspan Dragon comes down. Eye Twitch is gonna jump in front.
All right, this has to be the Environmental Sciences. I do not believe
it's not going to be the 3rd exhibition.
That QBEK is greedy enough to go for the 3rd exhibition in that spot.
And wow, the Scrubbly is just going to get Galazeth down. No consideration for leaving up. Saw it coming.
But it is up. There's a Goldspan Dragon on the battlefield.
Is there an untapped land?
There's a Den of the Bugbear.
Ah, am I? Okay.
There's a Goldspan Dragon on the battlefield.
I was blocking that part of the screen with my own face. That's literally why I couldn't see it. Everything is fine. There's the sword coming.
There's the sword coming that the Scrubbly did not dare to leave up. It tapped out and did not have
I honestly
to
thought Scrubbly was just like, yeah. Screw this.
What of
I'm
it?
In. Yeah, what? Come at me. Okay, we're gonna see another orb cracks. Finds another haste threat. There's that adult gold dragon. You know, we've been waxing lyrical about this mono black deck, but just seeing the Dragon Ball deck in action, it's just so impressive as well.
It has been extremely impressive, and I think one of the things that we're seeing in this game is how much that deck is capable of snowballing things. For the mono black deck, what we saw was small incremental advantage here, small incremental advantage there, grind them up with Loath, get an activation, block some things, keep going. On the other hand, the Scrubbly has just gone overwhelm you, go further, put you further on the back foot, and each turn is just pushing QBEK back.
And here's Expressive Iteration. If this finds a Dragon's Fire to deal with that Nighthawk Scavenger, the game is just over.
The game is just over. That is less of a the game is just over situation. It does not deal damage to dragons, however, so it is the same.
That is game over.
Is just over situation.
Just gonna.
I definitely.
What am I missing here?
It took me a second to remember that the Draconic Intervention does not betray their dragons, as we are headed to a decider game 3 here in this matchup.
I love it. I'm ready. Bring it on. Love a game 3 in a semi-finals of a great competitive tournament to cap out the weekend. And these two decks, you know, before we got into the semi-final, we were talking a little bit about what the matchup was going to be, and you and I couldn't really figure out which deck was going to be on top, you know, and I'm excited to see what happens here.
Yeah, I absolutely cannot wait to see the outcome of this match, as the players do make a few changes depending on the play draw here for the 3rd game. And this is going to be a big one. This is to decide who goes to the finals and gets to play against a mono green deck for the title. So it's going to be big, and that is not the hand you want to see when you're playing for the finals here.
Yeah, send that one back. This hand still full of removal and a copy of Deadly Dispute.
A little better, at least doesn't have
better.
2 6-mana board wipes in it, but still not that sort of... you can't really say proactive because this deck doesn't have too many proactive draws, but it's lacking that oomph that makes this deck really shine.
The Scrubbly also on a mulligan. Does get down with the hand of 6, putting Saw It Coming in the Foretell Zone, Disdainful Stroke, Magma Opus, Dragon's Fire, and Goldspan Dragon. So a nice hand for the Scrubbly. Could do with maybe a little bit of card draw, a little bit of card selection, or maybe another threat, but all of those things still to come.
Yeah, definitely a nice hand. One of the biggest upsides of this hand is the fact that they do have access to those interaction spells in Disdainful Stroke and Saw It Coming. Something that we may see from Scrubbly is going for Goldspan Dragon, and that hoping that even if my opponent tries to remove it, I'll get the treasure token and I'll be able to counter whatever the removal spell is. However, Soul Shatter there, that is exactly ready to spoil that party, as it were. So it'll be interesting to see if this is something that Scrubbly walks into, or whether they'll be able to sniff out the possibility of Soul Shatter, considering they know that it's in the list here from QBEK.
Wow, and look at that. Scrubbly just passing the turn, holding up these counter spells. Neither player really willing to make the first big move. The Skullfoot Merchant maybe qualifies.
Yeah, and you do have to give it to both players. QBEK thought about playing the Merchant last turn, which would have put them on 2 mana before they got the treasure from the Soul Shatter. But they're identifying, what if my opponent counters this Merchant? I won't be able to shatter the dragon if they have it. What if my opponent has a Prismari command and they destroy my treasure token? I won't be able to have the Soul Shatter left up. So they played it safe and they were rewarded with a pass back there from Scrubbly. And this has been sort of the back and forth story of the matchup. And you see the Scrubbly, they are valuing the grind. They are valuing the card advantage. They are identifying that I've got this Magma Opus that I could use to create a treasure token that would allow me to force through my Goldspan Dragon. But I'm not going to do so because if I do, I don't have access to Magma Opus anymore. And that card is just so good in these types of grindy games.
QBEK finds straight gas off the top as well with that Deadly Dispute, sacrificing Faceless Haven, Eye Twitch, and another copy of Deadly Dispute, Best Friends Forever in this deck. And wow, Soul Shatter going to take care of that Goldspan Dragon. QBEK really in the driver's seat now as they untap going into the late stages of this game.
Yeah, could just go for another Faceless Haven attack or slow it down a bit, just attack for 2 and have access to all of their mana in case they want to go for a more proactive Deadly Dispute. They also could just try to resolve a Mascot Exhibition here. If they go for this Deadly Dispute and they draw, I believe... No, they're a little too far off.
No, they're a little short.
They're 1 mana off there.
Yeah.
Ooh, Hayu, it's here!
Oh,
okay. All right.
Okay,
all right.
so after all of Marty's
Marty's
naysaying and say, oh, look at these Prismari commands. No, it's going to be Turgor's Lantern. That is hitting the battlefield.
Hayu, I think Scrubbly took out their Prismari commands for this 3rd game. I don't know if they have an answer to this Turgor's Lantern in their deck right now.
Oh my goodness. This Lantern just sits there, right? And it doesn't look like that much. It's like, okay, just relax. But when that thing is going every turn and you're having all of your threats answered by these Soul Shatters and these Flunks and these Haggle Rollings, it is going to kill you.
Yeah, and it begins. The Lantern is in play, and QBEK is going to just activate it every turn. If you want to counter these answers, well, fine. Notably here, for Scrubbly, they should allow their Goldspan Dragon trigger to resolve first, rather than trying to counter this with the trigger on the stack, as they would like more treasures to work with. Not the biggest deal, as QBEK can just respond here, and the other counterspell is waiting in the sod coming, but a bit of a overly hasty sequencing here.
So Flunk is going to try and target the Goldspan Dragon, but we know, of course, that about the Sora coming in Foretell. After this stack resolves, Goldspan Dragon is still going to be alive on the battlefield.
Goldspan Dragon alive, mana available up to 10. Magma Opus plus Disdainful Stroke available as an option. Inferno of the Star Mounts available as an option. And the Scrubbly has life to work with. So this is
going to be close.
This is a scary position for QBEK here, as they don't quite have everything they need.
So QBEK is going to keep chipping away. Keep getting in there. Environmental Science is going to pad the life total as well as finding another land. It'll be interesting to see how things work out here. The Scrubbly finds an orb. That's not going to do a lot right now.
They know about the Blood on the Snows, so they don't want to run more creatures in. They don't want to put down their Disdainful Stroke. By casting Orb of Dragonkind, they still have access to Magma Opus. So this is a position where Scrubbly can just go Magma Opus you, untap, play Inferno of the Star Mounts, kill you. And from what I can see, there isn't an answer to this on the board.
Wow. If QBEK ends up losing this one after looking so dominant in that first game. Okay, so here it is, Blood on the Snow. That's gonna attempt to take out, oh my goodness, the GGs from the Scrubbly. Blood on the Snow countered, step 1.
That's a lot of red treasures.
That's
16 damage.
And that is going to do it. 6 red mana available. That's going to pump the Inferno 6 times. Wow, what a blistering end to a great matchup here in our standard 2022 format. Really putting a lot of hope, you know, for the coming months that we're going to start seeing some really awesome new innovative strategies. And congratulations, of course, to the Scrubbly for taking that one down and advancing to the finals.